You press the third shell marker into the wet clay. Your fingers reach lower. They do not touch water. Last time, the water should have covered this mark. The time before that, it should have covered the back of your hand. But now the wall of the reservoir holds only a pale ring, as if someone has scraped the throat of the city with a stone blade. You turn. The palace scribe is standing on the ramp above you. He does not come down. He only hands you a pale wooden tablet. The words for today are already written on it. Water supply remains sufficient. You look back at the bottom of the reservoir. A few empty jars lean in the mud, their mouths open to the sky, silent and useless. You know those words are not a record. They are an order. Many centuries from now, people will look at the broken temples in the jungle and ask, where did the Maya go? Some will say they vanished. Some will say it was a prophecy, an apocalypse, a power from the stars. But you know nothing about an apocalypse. You do not know the stories that later strangers will attach to your calendar. You only know this morning's water tokens are laid out in front of you. You must decide whose jars can still be filled and whose names must be pushed into the next round. Your sister's name is in the next round. Later people will call this place Tikal. You do not call it that. The name you hear as a child is Yax Mutal. It is not a pile of stones in a forest. It is steps and plazas. It is temples so high they hurt the neck. It is royal courtyards where maize dries in the sun. It is shouting near the ball court. It is black and red signs moving under the hand of a trained scribe. It is the first thunder of the rainy season, when every face in the city turns upward. Your father once told you that this city was not built beside easy water. No great river bends around the temples. No lake rests beside the palace. Here, water falls from the sky, and people must hold it before the dry months take it away. Rain runs across the white limestone plazas. It slips through channels. It enters the reservoirs. Someone clears the silt. Someone repairs the slopes. Someone carries stones and sand that help clean the water. Someone seals the edges with clay. In the rainy season, the city is like an open hand catching water from the sky. In the dry season, everyone lives inside that house. You are the one who counts its fingers. You are not a great scribe. You are not allowed to carve the king's victories into stone. You are not allowed to put your own name into a folded bark paper book. Your work is lower, dirtier, and easier to erase. Every morning, you climb down the wall of the reservoir. You measure the waterline with a wooden stick. You press your fingers into the mud to judge its depth. You count the jars that went in and out the day before. You write the date, the number of vessels, and the color of the water on the edge of a bark paper sheet. You also guard the small water tokens. Each token means one household. One turn, one line that no one is allowed to argue with. The old scribe says this is good work for an apprentice. Numbers do not lie. Only later do you understand that he has said it backward. Numbers are the easiest things to force into a lie. This year the rain comes late. The first rain does not break the dry earth beside the plaza. It only leaves a few dark stains on the stone steps. The second rain stops halfway through, as if someone in the clouds remembers that water should not be wasted here. The third rain sounds real. Thunder rolls over the temples. People stand under roofs and laugh. But the next morning, when you climb down into the reservoir, the water has barely risen. The old scribe crouches beside you. He drags one finger along the wall. He does not look at you. "How much will you write?" he asks. You give him the true number. Now he looks at you. It is a light look, almost gentle, the kind of look a teacher gives before correcting the grip of a student's hand. Write one mark higher. But it did not reach that mark. The priests will inspect it tomorrow. You hold the measuring stick. Muddy water runs from your wrist. You know he is not teaching you how to write. He is teaching you how to survive. For the first time, you write a waterline that was never there. That day, you receive an extra spoonful of maize porridge. The old scribe pushes it toward you and says you learn quickly. You should be glad. If you work well, if he speaks for you, perhaps one day you can leave the reservoir and copy cleaner things indoors. Royal names, dates, offerings, captives, marriage alliances, the names of gods. Those signs may last longer. They may be carved into stone and lifted into the eyes of people. Water records will not last. A water record only needs to survive the season. After that, it can be burned, scraped away, copied over. Forgotten, But as you eat the porridge, your mouth tastes like the reservoir. Bitter, a little green, a little wrong. A few days later, the line for water grows longer. The first ones come from the western district. They live far from the palace. Dust covers their legs, carrying straps have cut dark grooves into their shoulders. An old man hands you his token, its edges worn smooth from use. You search the list for his household. Nothing. You search again, still nothing. The old man says his name was there last month. You do not answer, because you can see what happened. The line was carefully scraped. Another sign was written in its place. Not dead, not gone. Only delayed means no water today. The old man lowers his empty jar. He does not curse you, he only says, "My son helped build the palace ramp." You know, of course you know, many people helped build the ramp. Many carried lime, many pressed the plaza floors flat. Many cleared channels and dredged mud. Cities do not rise out of the earth by themselves. They are bent out of human backs. But all you can do is return his token. Next round, you say. The old man gives a small laugh. In the dry season, next round is a dangerous phrase. Your sister is also next round. She does not come to the front of the line. She waits until the others leave. Then she opens her hand and shows you her token. She married into a district south of the palace. People there have started coughing. The mud near their water pit has begun to stink. She is thinner than when you last saw her, but her eyes are still bright. I am not asking for much, she says, half a jar. You look down at the list. The line after her household has also been scraped. You remember her as a child, following you and trying to copy the marks for numbers. A dot is 1, a bar is 5. She said it was fair. If something can be counted, no one can cheat you out of it. You laughed at her then. Now you know a person can be cheated even when everyone knows how to count. All it takes is moving her to the next round. You reach toward the water tokens beside you. Then you stop. There are footsteps on the ramp. The old scribe stands above you, still a stone. You do not give your sister water. Instead, you press your own small gourd into her hands. It holds the water you were meant to drink that day. It is not enough for her household. It is not enough for the season. It is only enough to let you believe for one more moment that you are not completely ruined. She does not thank you. She does not blame you. She hides the gourd in her clothes and takes another path home. She does not look back. That evening, drums sound from the palace. The priests are preparing a rain ceremony. The plaza is swept clean. Water is sprinkled across the steps. You stand beside the reservoir and watch 2 young men carry jars upward. That water is clean. It is not for the people waiting in line. It is for the ceremony. It will be poured before the image of a god. It will make the plaza shine. The king will stand high above the crowd, feathers and jade flashing in the firelight. The people will look up. The priest will say that order remains, that the gods still hear this city. Suddenly, you understand. You are not only recording water, you are recording belief. If the waterline falls, it can be called a late rain. If fewer people receive water, it can be called careful distribution. If families leave their district, they can be called temporary workers in the fields. If they do not return, they can be said to have joined relatives elsewhere. As long as the bark paper book says water supply remains sufficient, the city has not failed. At least not in the words of the palace. That night, the old scribe tells you to seal a new batch of water tokens. He presses his mark into the clay, then sends them to the small room near the palace gate. You notice that some tokens have changed color. The ones that used to belong to ordinary districts have been reassigned to palace kitchens and priestly courtyards. You look up at him. He sits behind the oil lamp. His eyelids do not move. Do not make that face, he says. You think they do not get thirsty. You say nothing. He hands you a small piece of dry maize cake. It is thicker than usual. When the rain comes back next year, he says, everyone will forget how this year was survived. You take the cake, but your fingers touch the small knife at your belt. The knife is not meant for killing. It is too dull for that. It is used to trim wooden tokens, scrape away mistakes, cut old cords. It is not a weapon. It is only a tool for changing records. Maybe that is what makes it dangerous. The next day, the reservoir is greener. A thin film clings to the edge. When the wind moves it, it wrinkles like a torn piece of blue-green cloth. People complain that the water tastes bitter. Some say their stomachs hurt after drinking it. Some say children are feverish. Some say the god is angry. Some say the people from the lower districts are unclean and have polluted the water. You know, it is not that simple. You have seen rainwater rush down from palace courtyards, carrying red powder from painted walls, ash from rituals, kitchen waste, and mud crushed under hundreds of feet. You do not know the later words for these things: mercury, phosphate, toxic algae. You only know that when they enter the water, they are hard to remove from the body. There is another reservoir farther away, and its water is still clearer. The water there passes through sand and pale stones before it gathers in the basin. It is cooler, less bitter. When you were younger, your father once took you there. You watched workers set stones near the inlet and hold them back with woven mats and dry walls. At the time, it only seemed like extra work. Now you know that extra work can be the difference between thirst and survival. But that clearer reservoir is no longer open to everyone. First, the palace takes from it, then the priests, then guards and skilled workers. Ordinary districts are told to wait until other reservoirs settle. Settle is another dangerous word. Water can settle, hunger cannot. The third time someone crosses the rope line, a guard knocks him down with the butt of his staff. The jar breaks on the ground. Water runs into the dust and disappears almost at once. The man falls forward. His first move is not to touch his wound. He tries to scoop the wet earth with both hands. Everyone goes quiet. So quiet you can hear the broken pieces of the jar continue to crack. The old scribe tells you to write: disturbed water order, delayed 2 rounds. You watch the man being lifted by 2 relatives. His legs drag behind him. You cannot write. The old scribe pushes the book closer. If you do not write him down, he says, then he was never here. That sentence is heavier than the guard's staff. At last, you write. After that, you begin to learn a new way of seeing. Every person in line first becomes a sign on a list. Every plea first becomes a question of whether the account will balance. You are not without pity. You simply learn that pity, if it cannot enter the record, is quickly buried under the next command. You are becoming more like the old scribe. That frightens you more than the falling water. At midday, your sister comes again. This time she is not asking for water. She returns the gourd you gave her. Inside is a small handful of dried maize. She says her husband will take the children north that night, to relatives. They do not know if there will be water on the road. They do not know if the relatives will take them in. They do not know if leaving the city counts as betraying the gods and the king. She asks you. If someone asks later why we left, you hold the gourd and do not know how to answer. By the rules, you should write moved out. By the palace wording, you should write temporarily absent. By the old scribe's method, it would be better not to write anything at all. When the list is copied again, their household can be scraped away. Not dead, not fled, just thinner in the record. Your sister understands your silence. Then do not write that we vanished, she says. After she leaves, you sit beside the reservoir for a long time. The sun lowers, the water turns the color of dark copper. The shadow of the temple lies across it, as if the whole city has bent down to look at its own starving face. You think of the stone monuments. They record births of kings, accessions, wars, offerings, the names of gods. The stone is hard. The signs are deep. Later, people will look at them and believe they show what the city remembered. But stone does not record the old man who failed to receive water today. It does not record your sister returning a gourd with maize inside. It does not record the man trying to lift muddy water with both hands. It does not record the old scribe changing low into sufficient without raising his head. You suddenly understand something. The Maya do not first disappear from the city. They first disappear from the kinds of writing that survive. A few days later, the priests send another order. The rain ceremony must be expanded. More water is needed. Cleaner water is needed. The fire bowls must reflect water in the plaza. The old scribe gives you a new list and tells you to seal every token again. This time, your sister's household is no longer on the list. Not delayed, not moved, not absent. Gone, you ask. What about her household? The old scribe says. They already left. I should write moved out. You should write empty place. You look at those words and suddenly they seem obscene. Empty place sounds like a jar has been removed, like a stone has been lifted, like no one ever coughed there, waited in line there, or gave you back a gourd with a handful of maize. You say, she is not an empty place. The old scribe stops. His face is not angry, only tired. Child, he says, what do you think truth is? Truth is what can be kept. The book cannot keep your sister. The token cannot keep her. Noise cannot keep her. If you really want to live, keep what can still be kept. Keep what? Your hand. He looks at your hand. A hand that can write. In a city where most people cannot, that hand is food. It is status. It is the chance to leave the reservoir one day. You pull your hand back, but that night you do not sleep. You spread the water tokens across the floor while the drums outside practice the rhythm for the ceremony. You know the plaza will be packed tomorrow. Everyone will be told to look up toward the king and the gods. No one will be allowed to look down and ask how much water is truly left. You pick up the small knife. You do not alter the palace tokens. That would be discovered at once. You alter the old ones no one wants to look at closely. The Western District, the Southern District, the people who built ramps, the people who cleared mud, the people delayed too many times. You move some of their turns forward. You turn a few empty places back into household names. You write your sister's household as moved out, not vanished. Each cut is shallow, shallow enough that it might pass in the morning, shallow enough that you know it cannot save the whole city. Still, you cut. Before dawn, you carry the tokens to the reservoir. The guard at the clearer basin is half asleep against the stone wall. You know him. Last year he carried filter stones with you until the skin on his hands split open. You give him a piece of maize cake and say the old scribe sent you to check the tokens early. He looks at you as if he knows you are lying. For a while, neither of you speaks. Then he steps aside. You go to the inlet. You break the clay seal. You place several tokens where they do not belong. Then you take your knife and carve a mark on the inner wall of the reservoir, low in the shadow. A true waterline, not the line the palace wants to see. The line your fingers touched in the mud. You carve slowly, because you know this cut is not for the people today. The people today need water. They do not need your proof. This cut is for someone you cannot imagine. Maybe far in the future, someone will clear the silt. Someone will measure the wall. Someone will ask why there is a mark where the official record says there should not be one. Maybe they will never know your name, but they may know that someone, in that year, saw the water was not enough. When you put the knife away, you hear the old scribe behind you. He does not call the guard. He only says, "You think this will bring back the rain?" You turn. The sky is still grey. Half his face is in shadow, half is in torchlight. He looks suddenly very old. No, you say. Will it stop them from leaving? Number, will it make the king admit the water is failing? You shake your head. The old scribe steps down and picks up one of the tokens you changed. He stares at it so long you think he will snap it in half. He does not. What are you doing then? He asks. You look at the water. It is so low that it cannot reflect the whole temple. It only shows a broken piece of stair. I do not want their leaving to become something that never happened, you say. The old scribe's hand trembles once. Far away, the first drum sounds. That day many people receive water who should not have received it. Many others still do not. Your altered tokens are discovered quickly. The old scribe does not defend you. He also does not place all the blame on you. He tells the palace that an apprentice copied badly, and old tokens were mixed into the new set. Corrected now, you are removed from the scribe's room. You are no longer allowed to touch the formal books. Your hand is spared, but the path that hand might have climbed is closed. You return to the reservoir. You do the heaviest work, clearing mud, carrying stone. Repairing the slope after too many feet break it down. People pass you. Some look. Some do not. The man who once tried to scoop muddy water from the ground sets a repaired jar beside you. Inside is half a jar of water. He says nothing. You say nothing. Sometimes the whole language a person can offer is to leave water beside you and walk away. The rain ceremony lasts a long time. The fire bowls are bright. The drums are dense. The king stands above the plaza as if he stands above everything. The priest says rain will return. People raise their faces. Some believe. Some must pretend to believe. You look up once, there are no clouds. After that, more people leave. Not all at once. Not in one morning, as if the entire city has vanished while sleeping. First, a roof in a distant district collapses, and no one repairs it. Then a row of market stalls stays empty. Then grass grows near the ball court. Then one road carries fewer footprints. People go north. They go to relatives. They go toward water and fields and places where they think life may still be possible. Some return for tools. Some never return. Your sister does not return. You do not know if she reached the north. You do not know if her children will remember this city. All you can do is carve her household sign on the back of a wooden token that should not be kept. You hide it in a crack near the reservoir wall. You know wood does not last like stone. You know the next rainy season may swell it, rot it, feed it to insects. Still, you hide it. Not every record is meant to reach the future. Some records exist so the person who makes them does not surrender completely. Many years from now, tree roots will enter the stairs. The forest will cover the plazas, the temples will remain. Some stone signs will remain. Later, scholars will read royal names and dates from monuments. They will find traces of pollution and filtration in reservoir sediments. They will study lakes and minerals to understand how severe the drought became. They will debate war, trade, population pressure, land use, kingship, and climate. Which mattered most, they will become careful with their words. They will say this was not caused by one thing, and they will say something even more important. The Maya did not disappear. Cities can decline. Dynasties can end. Monuments can stop being carved. Plazas can empty. But people do not vanish like mist under the sun. People carry language, maize seed, family memory, divine names, and the fear of the road into other places. Mani Maya people will continue to live in this region. Many will continue to speak Mayan languages. They are not a blank space inside a mystery story. What outsiders call disappearance is often just their own late arrival, followed by their need for a dramatic name. But you do not know any of that. You only know the water falls lower each day. You know broken pottery cuts the feet. You know green water makes people afraid. You know the palace needs you to write sufficient, while the people in line need you to admit not enough. You know the first place a city collapses may not be the temple. It may be a list. It may be a token. It may be the moment when a person stands in front of you, alive, breathing, and already written as an empty place. The last time you climb down into the reservoir, rain finally comes. Not heavy rain. Only a few drops, darkening the cracked mud in small circles. Everyone in line looks up. Some laugh. Some cry. Some lift their jars toward the sky as if they can catch the whole season in a single mouth of clay. You do not move. You crouch beside the wall and touch the true waterline you carved. Rain runs down the steps and over the back of your hand, carrying grey dust with it. The mark is shallow, but it is still there. The old scribe stands above you. His hair is much whiter than last year. Between you lies half an empty reservoir, a year of changed words, and many people who were never properly written down. He asks, "Will you carve again?" You look at the muddy water gathering below. Yes, you say. This time he does not stop you. You carve the new line under the old one, lower, then beside it you carve a tiny sign. Not a royal name, not a god's name, not a victory, only the household mark your sister once used. It should not be there. It has no right to be preserved. Perhaps no one will ever understand it. But it is there beside the waterline. The historian asks, where did the Maya go? At last you understand that the question is wrong. They were not a people who suddenly vanished from the world. They were people pushed off water lists, people scraped out of palace books, people forced to find new roads between drought, polluted water, war, tribute, hunger, and broken trust. They left this city not because the stars called them away. They left because even the tallest temple cannot fill a clay jar later. The forest will keep many of the palace's secrets. But the reservoir wall is less obedient. It keeps water lines. It keeps layers of mud. It keeps traces of filtration stones and contamination. It keeps the facts no king wanted carved on a monument. And perhaps your small mark will last. Perhaps it will be worn away. If it survives, If someone one day clears the mud and touches it, that person may not know who you were. They may not know your sister's name. They may not know how many tokens you changed before dawn. That is all right. You did not carve it for your name. You carved it so that when someone stands before this emptied city, they will not be too quick to say the word vanished. Because this place was never only a mystery, it was home.